mouth loose and voice loud when he drank. The dandy tacked on his name did not mean that he was not a bad hombre when he wanted to be. He was. Leaning on one end of the bar, Dandy put down the drinks as fast as they were poured, talking loudly with the men about him, and every now and then, Dandy leaned on his elbow and glared down the bar at Bit Higgins. Maybe Bit noticed, maybe he didn't. The three bartenders were working hard, and Bit managed to stay down at the other end. Finally, however, he hurried along the back bar and reached for a bottle opposite Dandy Barker. Dandy glared at him for a moment and then growled, "Hey, shrimp, turn around and let me tell you what I think of you." Bit said over his shoulder, "Some other time, I'm busy." "Some other time, hell," Dandy yelled. "I've been putting this off long enough. Come here." He leaned across the bar, grabbed Bit by the shoulder, and jerked him around. The talk at that end of the bar stopped. Every eye went to them. You could feel them pity little Bit, but no one took it on himself to cross Dandy Barker. Bit had gambled with it when he married Laura. He'd have to deal his own deck now. The man beside Dandy Barker laughed nervously. Forget it, Dandy. Have another drink. My treat." "Keep out of this, Sam," Dandy snarled. "I've been itching to do this, and now he's gonna get it." "Get what?" Bit asked mildly. He looked surprised. Dandy reached out and shook him. "You know what," Dandy yelled. "You was a skunk who told a lady I was buying high-grade ore." Bit stood there without trying to get away. Not a muscle in his face moved. But his eyes, those mild eyes in his freckled face, went smoky, opaque. Bit's voice stayed mild, however, as he asked, "Was ya?" Somebody snickered. Dandy Barker's fine clothes never went to work. Talk had it he was buying high grade, the richest ore from the tunnel faces, which the men brought up in their boots, pockets, and lunch pails, and sold to the few buyers who were willing to take the risk for the profit. But no one had ever proved it on Dandy Barker. Dandy heard the snicker. His face got redder. "You accusing me again of high-grading?" he bawled, shaking Bit once more. "I just asked you," Bit said apologetically. "I'm gonna drag you over this bar," Dandy howled, "and I'm gonna wipe up the floor with you." Dandy yanked, and his hand came away empty. Bit had twisted suddenly, jerked loose. With an oath, Dandy pulled out his gun. Bit ducked behind the bar, and Dandy Barker cut loose twice, smashing 2 bottles of good whiskey on the back bar. Bit popped up with a quart bottle in his hand. It caught Dandy between the eyes. The gun clattered on the bar. Dandy collapsed against the man behind him. Bit broke the gun, tossed the cartridges on the floor, slid the gun across the bar. His face was still calm, but his eyes held that cold, smoky look. "Take him out," Bit said indifferently. "We're too crowded tonight to give room to a busted-down fuzztail like that." And Bit picked up a damp towel and turned to mop up the mess on the back bar. The men let out a shout of laughter. They had been looking for slaughter, and little Bit Higgins had turned it into a joke. Pat Dewey, the new sheriff, was down at the other end of the bar, celebrating the recent election. Pat had a quart of whiskey under his belt and was still sober. He stood 6 feet 6 inches in his boots and was built like a mountain pine. A dead shot with both hands, Pat never dodged a fight or passed up a joke. Now he laughed with the rest of them. "Ha ha! He's too good for a barkeep," Pat yelled. "Take that apron off him, and I'll just put a gun in his hand. I'm making him a deputy, boys. Watch your step in San Miguel from now on." That brought down the house. The idea of little Bit Higgins keeping order among those hell-raising sons of guns was the best joke of the evening. Bit had played in luck with Dandy Barker, but the first He-Man he came up against would pulverize him. Bit stood behind the bar, smiling faintly. When the laughter died down, he called to Pat Dewey. "Do you mean it?" "Sure," Pat chuckled. "You're a deputy now, son. Here's your badge and here's a gun. I'm counting on you to keep law and order in San Miguel on Saturday nights. The boys do like to